Feminism started out as women's rights, and now it has skewed into something entirely different than what it was.
Are we going too far? Did we do this and all the rest of that instead of being angry?
Now it's morphed into something that's more preaching like a superiority over men kind of stance. Like I work with some people who would consider themselves heavy feminists, and they are constantly dogging on men, and they openly say, I hate men.
I would say that as long as men are alive, feminism is always going to be relevant.
Why?
Because men.
Would you call that toxic femininity? Is there such a thing as toxic
absolutely.
femininity?
We know what toxic femininity is.
Despite its success, the Me Too movement promoted extreme slogans such as "Believe all women," and along with it created a climate of fear where innocent men were unfairly accused and reputations destroyed.
Huge feminist lie that you're going to be happy as if you have a career and if you are a boss babe.
The wage gap is a myth between men and women. It typically states that women earn about 80 cents on the dollar that every man earns. Here's the problem with the wage gap myth. It just accounts for all working men versus all working women. It doesn't account for degrees held, careers held, the experience, and a multitude of other factors that hours worked. It doesn't account for agreeableness, which is obviously a very important trend, because when you're more agreeable, you're more likely to accept the wage they give you versus fighting for higher wages. So the reason why men get paid more, right, than women typically is because of choice. Men work more hours, they work more dangerous jobs, they work jobs that pay more money. In general, men are way more willing to take risk, and they go into career fields that make more money.
Ladies, do you think there's such a thing as toxic femininity? And how would you describe one, and have you encountered one, or have you been one yourself?
Have you seen the Housewives?
Oh, Beverly Hills. Dead.
I mean, I think it happens. And I think it happens all across the board. I mean, obviously, we've heard of masculine toxicity.
Yes,
I can't say it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, feminine. I think it's anytime a woman is being bullied or being harassed or being mistreated by another woman, I think it falls into that category.
When feminism becomes male bashing, that's toxic. Like, I think a lot of us hear, oh, I'm a feminist, and I don't think they realize that that means fighting for equality. It doesn't mean that one is actually better than the other. Right. And the moment that you start to bring down the man, then you're no longer equal. Then you are doing the exact same thing, just on the opposite side.
For years, the author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, identified as a feminist who advocated for women's rights, whether it be speaking out or through donations or advocacy. But in 2020, it was as if none of that mattered anymore. After expressing concern on Twitter what constitutes of women, she was berated by activists as misogynistic and most notably a TERF. TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist and is an acronym used by trans activists to describe someone as transphobic for believing that gender is based on biological sex. Due to this,
I'm not a cis woman. I am simply a woman. I reject the phrase cisgender. It was created out of thin air as a means to deviate us from trans people who are taking on this caricature of being a woman, taking on her, she pronouns, and taking on rights to womanhood that they do not deserve. For so long, the feminist movement has been saying women have been victimized and oppressed by men. But if the man wears a wig and puts on makeup, suddenly they're oppressed? Is that what happens? Do they take on all the oppression that women have been facing for decades in this country now that they simply identify as one? And is that as far as you have to go? Just saying I am a woman in order to be one? I guess so, because that's what a lot of people are doing now. They're just saying, well, I'm a woman.
You support government intervention to make abortion illegal, which is designed to kill someone, and yet you can stand up here and say you don't want government intervention for guns, which are also designed to kill people.
Because guns are not designed to kill children. Guns are designed to kill bad guys if operated by a proper person. There's not an abortion in the world that doesn't end with the death of a baby. Honestly, the reason, I have no problem with looking at the pictures of gun violence victims, other than the problems any other human being, left or right, would have with looking at those pictures, which is that they're horrific and deeply disturbing and very upsetting. But I don't feel any sense of guilt or avoidance Like, I can't look at this picture because I bear some sort of responsibility for this. It is impossible not to look at a picture of an aborted baby and say this was disconnected from the act that I approve, because the act is the killing of the baby. There's no policy that I approve of that ends with the murder of children. Okay? There is a policy that is designed for the murder of children, which is what abortion is.
Now we are living in such depravity that there are people, like the people that oppose this bill, that are willing to say, I know it's a human being, I know it has a heartbeat, I know there is life there, and I know it is innocent, and I'm willing to kill it. We have sunk to a new low in our society. And it is time for us to rectify what we have done. So if you are a person here who has had an abortion, I encourage you to seek healing, because abortion is not normal.
Listen to the logic here. I'm a man, so I don't have a right to say or have any opinion about what a woman does with my child in her womb. So can I apply that? Can I also apply that to, hey, when the child is born, because it's her child, I'm a man, I don't want to pay child support, let her take care of my child. Is it equally okay to do that?
And the most notable was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, where Heard wrote an op-ed alleging that she was a victim of abuse. And it wasn't until 4 years after getting canceled from everything when Depp won the defamation trial for the false allegations.
Do you think that in a certain way Me Too movement also went too far?
It started off with great intent, and it's designed to have great intent, but you have people who abuse the system and people who take advantage of it, and they see a payday or a time for fame, and it ruins it for the real people out here who are actually victims.
Me Too is for true survivors.
I think men are great. Men actually made the rights that you guys all have. Men literally wrote the Constitution.
Well,
no, I'm serious.
I would have loved the privilege to be there.
I just want to put that out there because I think that women hate on men so much, and
hate on everyone.
And there's no right that men have that I don't have. So, and you guys too. So all that I'm saying is that, and I just want to say one more thing. Submission it gets a bad rap because it sounds like, oh, we're letting the guy like walk all over us. I actually don't think that that's it at all.